you to step out the vehicle.
What you want to do? You want to take my gun off my head?
Yes, sir.
There's one in the head.
Does your buddy have one as well?
So confused right now?
What you confused about?
Because how do I got a warrant?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I got papers that this case was dismissed, why is my warrant still?
All right, just hang tight right here for me. Let me clear this. I don't want any accidental fires. Come here. All right, right now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest.
Talanta hip-hop royalty with loud weed in the car, a firearm on his hip, and a live warrant in the system waiting to snatch him up. Body cam footage, which wouldn't hit the internet until 2025, showed it all. King staying calm, hands visible, talking smooth, even as officers smelled the gas and spotted the steel. I smell some weed in the car. So our procedure is we gotta check it. Is there anything else that I need to be aware of? I don't want y'all to check the car. I can't hear you. I don't want y'all to search the car. Well, I understand that. But if I smell weed, that's probable cause to search the vehicle. You're not going to find nothing. You're going to find my guns. Just multiple guns. I got a stick of AR. But the shock came when they ran his name and found an active bench warrant from Pickens County for skipping a 2022 court date tied to earlier traffic charges. Speeding, driving under the influence, and riding on a suspended license. Small stuff on paper, but ignoring the court notice turned it into a legal tripwire. The moment they confirmed the warrant, the cuffs came out. And just like that, King Harris, who'd spent years online proving his street credibility, was sitting in the back of a patrol car. His suburban stunt turned into viral content. For T.I., it was the nightmare he'd been warning about for years. The trap legend turned businessman had publicly told anyone who'd listened that his son was playing with fire, trying too hard to live a life he didn't really need to touch. T.I. knows that life, his own career, was shaped by hustling, a federal weapons bid, and enough courtroom drama to last a lifetime. He built his family empire to keep his kids away from those same mistakes. But King never wanted the safe, gated lifestyle his parents gave him. He seemed like a cool kid. I don't want anything to come out of this, so let's just make sure that the warrant's valid and go from there. Okay. That tension exploded publicly in 2023 at a Falcons game when King argued with his dad in front of fans and cameras yelling that he wasn't raised with silver spoons and spent more time at his grandmother's gritty house than in the Harris mansion. For King, that was about proving authenticity. For T.I., it was frustrating. A son rejecting the stability he'd fought for. The clip went viral, turning a private father-son struggle into a running joke across social media. So, when King got arrested months later with weed, a gun, and an old warrant, the whole thing felt like prophecy fulfilled. Ty's warnings were now on full display, and the internet wasted no time clowning both father and son. So they did confirm it. The warrant is valid, and they do want you. Hello. And now that I'm thinking about it, I want you to make sure that you know your rights. I'm going to read you your Miranda real quick. Just give me 1 sec. Just going to read your Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. But here's where the story gets layered. Despite the weed smell in the firearm, Georgia law meant neither triggered major new charges. King was licensed to carry, and small amounts of marijuana usually mean a ticket, not a prison stretch. The very next day, October 15, 2024, the warrant got recalled and King walked out of jail. Legally, it was a blip. Culturally, it was an earthquake. Hip-hop blogs, gossip pages, and Twitter timelines went crazy. TMZ ran with T.I.'s son arrested. Guns and weed found. Hot New Hip Hop framed it as another rapper kid chasing street points. Atlanta Black Star called him out for wanting to be thug so bad. What I would appreciate more than anything right now is to be able to make a phone call. So when we get there, it can already be to who? Who you trying to make a phone call to? Trying to make a phone call to my pot. Meanwhile, fans debated the body cam footage. Some clowned him for trying to play tough. Others empathize with a young man who stayed calm and respectful, while clearly confused about the warrant. It was a rare humanizing look at a kid normally seen flexing online, suddenly asking officers if he could call his dad. The clip turned into a viral study in father-son dynamics. A privileged but conflicted kid caught between wanting independence and still needing his father's help. Still, these streets talk differently than the blogs. King's about to have a son. King's about to have a son. Congrats. Yeah. And I told him, I'm going to make this the greatest gangster of all times. I will raise this child to torture you the way that you tortured me. As soon as the footage hit in 2025, rumors spread like wildfire. Whispers of King getting jumped in county, sentenced to years inside, or T.I. supposedly calling in favors to keep him safe from gang politics behind bars. None of that was confirmed. But in hip-hop culture, the rumor mill often hits harder than the facts. The story became less about what really happened and more about what it symbolized. A rap son trying to prove his realness and ending up in the same danger zone his father once escaped. And for T.I., it wasn't just another PR headache. It was deeply personal. While he kept his public comments short, insiders said he was making calls behind the scenes, checking with lawyers, smoothing things over with whoever he needed to. He spent the last decade reinventing himself as a mogul, a TV personality, and a father figure, watching his son risk it all for street credibility. Had to cut deep. Meanwhile, King himself was living a parallel story the public couldn't ignore. Stepping into fatherhood at the exact same time, his own relationship with his dad was cracking. Just weeks after the arrest, on November 5, 2024, King and longtime girlfriend Jania Big Nana Epps welcomed their first child, King Jr., 1 month. He's in cuffs asking to call his dad. The next, he's holding his own son, publicly announcing, "Welcome, King Jr. Time to take over." It was a wild twist that felt like life moving faster than any headline. A young man caught between clout chasing and real-life responsibility. Ty even cracked jokes about it in a hot 107.9 interview, but underneath the humor was the weight of a cycle repeating. A father who once fought to escape the streets, now watching his son flirt with the same fire while becoming a father himself. King Harris's arrest might have been short on paper, but it set off an emotional earthquake inside one of hip-hop's most famous families. For years, T.I. has been a man split in two. The hustler-turned-legend who once rapped about guns and survival, and the father who wants his kids far away from the life that nearly swallowed him. That duality makes his clash with King feel bigger than just one messy night in Dunwoody. Every time King pops up on social media flashing burners or talking tough, you can almost feel T's frustration. He spent his whole career clawing out of the trap, built a mansion, reality shows, and businesses to give his kids better options. And his own son keeps reaching back toward the same streets he tried to escape. When King went viral, arguing with him at the Falcons game, screaming that he wasn't raised soft and spent his childhood at his grandmother's house, it wasn't just a random outburst. It was a young man desperate to shake the silver spoon label that haunts every rap kid born into success. Hip-hop culture worships authenticity. Fans love a come-up story. But what happens when your dad already made it and left you nothing gritty to claim? King has been trying to answer that question since he first picked up a mic. The Falcons game meltdown was just one chapter in a bigger father-son war fought in public. Clips of the argument were shared like memes with fans picking sides. Some siding with T.I. saying he'd earned the right to lecture, others defending King for wanting to be seen as his own man. But behind the laughs was something raw, a young adult pushing back against a father's protection. And a father terrified his son was running toward danger just to prove he's real. Ty knows how fast keeping it real can get you killed or locked up. In 2009, he spent a year in federal prison on gun charges. Before that, he was constantly dodging cases and beefs. He's lived the life King tries to imitate on Instagram. But instead of listening, King seems determined to test the same streets his father barely survived. That tension plays out in every headline, every Instagram live, every argument that leaks online. And because this is the Harris family, nothing stays private. They're hip-hop royalty with the side of reality TV fame. Their dynasty's been on display for years through shows like T and Tiny, The Family Hustle. So, when King slips up, it's not just gossip. It's not just gossip. Blogs. It's mainstream outlets, fans, and even people outside hip-hop weighing in. The October arrest became a full-blown spectacle, partly because the world already felt invested. We've watched King grow up on camera. We've seen Ty preach about fatherhood and redemption. So when the problem child narrative caught fire, it fit too perfectly to ignore. Suddenly, King wasn't just a young man with an old bench warrant. He was a symbol of the struggle every famous family faces, keeping your kids grounded when the culture worships street credibility. But King's actions aren't just random rebellion. They're calculated moves in a game of identity. In hip-hop, being the child of a legend can be both a blessing and a curse. The doors open faster, but the judgment is harsher. Look at Coi Leray battling comparisons to Benzino or Lil Romeo trying to step out of Masterpiece's shadow. King knows this. He's talked about it openly, even comparing his relationship with T to Ghost and Tariq from Power. The father who built an empire trying to save his son, and the son who sees protection as control. That's exactly what fans saw in the Falcons clip and in the body cam footage where King, still trying to hold his pride, asked if he could call his dad. It's a power struggle drenched in love, but twisted by ego, fame, and hip-hop's obsession with realness. The irony, while King fights to prove he's not just a spoiled kid, every move he makes gets labeled as exactly that. When he flashes guns online, critics say he's cosplaying gangster life from a mansion. When he gets arrested, blogs call it a stunt gone wrong. When he raps about pain and struggle, people question if he's lived it. That cycle traps him. The harder he tries to break free from his dad's shadow, the more the internet frames him as T.I.'s privileged but reckless kid. And because social media thrives on spectacle, his missteps go viral faster than any music he drops. His 2024 single, Dear Son, released after his own child was born, got attention, but not just for the bars. Fans tuned in to see if the mugshot kid would show growth, regret, or more defiance. The art itself keeps getting drowned out by the drama. For T.I., that's heartbreaking. He's not just protecting his brand. He's a dad watching his warnings ignored in real time. Insiders say when King was arrested, T.I. didn't explode online because he was busy handling business behind the scenes, calling lawyers, talking to court clerks, even checking with street contacts to keep things from escalating. He's lived long enough to know that one bad night can change everything. But he also knows there's only so much a father can do when his grown son is determined to walk the hard road. Publicly, T plays it cool. Privately, it's a different story. And yet, despite all the chaos, there's a layer of vulnerability that keeps this saga from being just another celebrity train wreck. The moment King became a father changes the stakes. Suddenly, the kid chasing authenticity has a son watching him. Ty, who once went to prison before turning his life around, now sees his own journey mirrored but faster, messier, and online for everyone to watch. The question becomes whether fatherhood will slow King down or push him further into the pressure cooker of proving himself. Social media loves to clown him, but there's real humanity here. A young man caught between the privilege he hates and the streets he doesn't fully understand, and a father torn between love and tough love. The public eats it up because it's more than gossip. It's a modern hip-hop fable. Fame bought safety, but safety doesn't sell records or respect. Ty built an empire so his son wouldn't struggle. And now that very comfort is the thing King resents. Fans see themselves in both sides. Parents trying to guide kids who won't listen, and young adults desperate to prove independence even if it hurts. That's why every clip goes viral. Every mugshot turns into a meme. Every father-son spat becomes a think piece. It's not just about T and King anymore. It's about what happens when hip-hop's first generation of mogul raises kids in a world that still worships struggle. Now King Harris stands at the heaviest crossroads of his young life. One path keeps him locked in the loop he's been chasing. Viral mugshots, Instagram lives filled with bravado, and a music career drowned out by gossip blogs. The other is harder but far more powerful. Growing up, embracing fatherhood, and carving a real lane that proves he's more than just T's wild son. The birth of King Jr. could be the moment that forces him to slow down and rethink the chase for street points. Becoming a dad at 20 isn't easy for anyone, but for someone living under the spotlight, it's life-changing. Overnight, the internet's favorite troublemaker became somebody's father. And that responsibility can either build a man or break him. Every choice King makes now will echo louder. Not just because of the media, but because a child will grow up watching it all. If King can channel his mistakes into his music, he has a real shot at turning the narrative around. Hip-hop has always respected pain turned into art, We've seen artists like Meek Mill and 21 Savage transform legal trouble into powerful storytelling. King's October 2024 arrest, his public fight with T.I., the endless online jokes. Those are all raw ingredients for honest, relatable records if he's willing to be vulnerable. His track Dear Son hinted at that maturity, giving fans a glimpse of someone wrestling with legacy and fatherhood instead of just flaunting clout. But one song isn't enough. He'll need consistency, real storytelling, and music that feels lived, not borrowed. Controversy might bring clicks, but it doesn't guarantee respect. And respect is the only currency that can free him from the Just T.I.'s Kid label. Still, the challenge is massive. Hip-hop audiences are harsh on rap royalty. If you're born into fame, people expect either greatness or failure, nothing in between. Coi Leray fought it. Jaden Smith fought it. Diggy Simmons fought it. Now King's fighting it, while also trying to survive a culture that prizes danger and struggle. The same fans who clown him for privilege also demand proof he's real. It's a trap with no easy exit. He's too privileged to be street, too street to be polished, too famous to be normal, too unknown to be legendary. His father built a huge shadow. Platinum albums, hit singles, reality TV, businesses in every step gets measured against that legacy. Even his mistakes aren't his alone. They reflect back on T.I., turning family drama into trending topics. That's a weight most young men never carry. And it explains some of King's desperate reach for authenticity. But fatherhood could flip that script if he lets it. Raising a child has a way of cutting through ego and forcing focus. Ty himself admitted fatherhood was part of what made him reinvent his life after prison. King now has a chance to do the same, to stop proving he's tough and start proving he's present, responsible, and creative. Hip-hop loves a redemption arc almost as much as it loves drama. If King can turn his story from reckless son of a legend into young dad and artist who grew up in public, fans might finally root for him instead of roasting him. The cycle of clout chasing doesn't have to define him forever. He can take the pain of being misunderstood and turn it into something undeniable. The bigger picture is that King's choices will ripple beyond his own career. They'll shape how the culture sees hip-hop dynasties. T.I. was one of the first trap artists to build generational wealth and show fatherhood on TV. If King rises, it'll prove that a rap mogul's kid can stumble, learn, and still build greatness. If he falls deeper into trouble, it'll reinforce the cynical narrative that fame's second generation can't handle the pressure. That's why people care. Because it's not just gossip. It's about what happens when the first wave of trap kings raise kids in a world that still glorifies the streets they escaped. And make no mistake, the spotlight isn't going anywhere. Every Instagram post, every new single, every interview will be picked apart. If King drops music bragging about street life, the internet will drag him. If he goes conscious, they'll question his authenticity. If he stays silent, rumors will fill the gap. That's the reality of growing up famous in 2025. Your identity becomes content whether you like it or not. But King does have control over one thing, his actions. A focused grind, solid music, staying out of unnecessary beef, and embracing fatherhood could slowly rewrite his reputation. People love a comeback more than a crash. It's just up to him to choose which story he wants to tell. In the end, this saga isn't really about a single arrest or some jailhouse rumors. It's about a father and son caught between two worlds. One who fought his way out of the trap, and one who's trying to prove he's real without realizing the danger he's chasing. It's about cycles. How kids of legend search for identity. How fame can feel like a cage. And how love between father and son gets tested under a microscope. King Harris still has time to grow to flip the narrative to become more than a viral headline. The question is whether he'll take that chance or keep running toward a street image that doesn't love him back. Either way, the world will be watching. Every step King takes from here as an artist, a father, and a man will decide if his story becomes one of redemption or regret. Will he stay the reckless kid chasing clout? Or will he finally embrace the weight of his last name and build something real? Only time will tell. But tone things clear? King Harris isn't just living in T.I.'s shadow anymore. He's writing the next chapter of a hip-hop dynasty, and the ending depends on